Many Inuit believe that the spirits or souls of the dead came back in people who were named after them. They also believe that animals sometimes offered themselves to be killed to suit their own purposes or to help people. In this story, a man's soul travels through many creatures before it is born again. This story has been passed on for many years in Inuit communities. The hunter Mako chases a fox woman into the hills and falls asleep in her burrow. This story starts when Mako awakens many months later. When he awoke, there was a humming of flies around the entrance of the burrow, and it was full summer. He walked outside, and there was grass and flowers, but now he was no longer a man, he was a spirit. What form shall I choose for my soul to wander in? He asked himself. Then he crept into a blade of grass. For a short time he remained in peace, but when the wind stirred, he swayed back and forth, and soon he became tired of the constant motion. And he crept into the body of a raven. Ravens never go hungry, as it seemed to him, but they often feel cold around their feet, and so he stopped being a raven and became a caribou. He joined a herd of caribou, and they all moved off together. In their wanderings, Mako was always behind the others. They asked him, "Why are you so slow?" He answered, "I keep stumbling all the time." Then they told him to look at the stars as he walked along. "Watching the ground makes you stumble," they said. After this, he followed their advice and was able to keep up with them. "What shall I eat?" he asked. "Scratch away the snow with your feet and find moss," they answered. Then he ate and grew fat. One day the herd was attacked by a wolf, and all the caribou dashed into the sea. Mako ran with them, and when he reached the water, his soul crept into a walrus. He became hungry. He went down to the bottom of the sea to dig clams, but the clams would not open their shells, and he came up still hungry. He said to the other walruses, "I can't get anything to eat. The clams refuse to open their shells for me." The other walruses said, "When you get down to the bottom of the sea, say yak, yak, yak." Then he went back to the bottom and said yak. The clams opened their shells, and he had all he wanted to eat. The others ate too. Mako was tired of being a walrus, and he said to himself, "Now what form shall I choose for my soul to wander in?" Just then a seal swam by. Mako crept into it. For a long time he lived among the seals. One day, however, he looked ashore and saw houses. In one of the houses nearest to the shore lived a woman who had not yet had a child. Mako lay in wait for the woman's husband. One day he came up to breathe just in front of the place where the man was standing. The man harpooned him, and when he felt himself struck, he almost laughed out loud. Now he was hauled ashore and brought into the house. Mako crept into the body of the woman. After a time, he was born again as the woman's child. Then they had to find a name for him, and at first they called him after a dead relative. They did not call him Mako. Hearing a strange name, he began to cry. One day his father heard him saying, "I'm Mako." The father was so astonished that he nearly dropped him. "Ha," said the father, "who wants to be named after that Mako who was lost in the hills? He is Mako." Then the child stopped crying and entered upon his human life once again. When he had grown to be an old man, it became a story, and those who came after him constantly told it further.